All right, let's get into it. I'm going to try today to get this pantry all set up. We'll see how far I can get. I mean, it's an ambitious dream for a Saturday, but I've got some time. Let's see how far we can get. But first, first we've got someone requesting to come in. So second, let's see here. Oh, I'm a little bit low. All right. I guess first things first. All right. All right. Black gold. Kids have been trying to keep out of the Pooter plague here this week. Let's go. Oh man, I've got so many things to do. Painting first, I guess. Painting. If I'm going to mix up the paint, I might as well. Wait. What in the hell? It just never ends. Let's see. Look like that. Maybe some tape. Where's my tape? Dangerous tool in the shop. Not the coffin, the utility knife. Apply liberally. Of course, we'll have like a whole bunch of squeeze out, but where was I? Well, that's right. Oh, and the coffee's almost ready. All right. The whole goal here was to install the pantry, but because I had to paint part of it, I decided I wanted to also finish filling these screw holes and sanding them down and painting them at the same time. So not one ever to make anything easier than it's got to be, I decided to also do this before I even started on the pantry. You should start looking for imperfections. They are everywhere. Everywhere. I do have a love-hate relationship with the plastic wood, mostly hate, but once I thinned it with acetone, that really helped. Something that has hearts on it because it used to be my mama's. So I thinned it down with some acetone. I really like it because it does dry quick because of the acetone, but until I added quite a lot of acetone to the mix, it was just too thick to really work. But once it is in there in place, it dries and you can sand it and paint it super quick. I do like that. Whoa, took you for a ride there. Okay. All right. Yes. Fantastic. So getting ready to paint finally. Setting up my painting studio here and finally bringing out the main parts I want to paint, these giant E's, which space out the pantry to fit because I made a mistake on my assembly.
I need one of those things that can get in these crevices and clean up this sawdust, get the dust out of there. Just something that'll pull the dust out. I mean, this molding just has all these crevices. What are those things called that clean dust out of the crevices, or like a maid? Yeah, that's it. That's what I need. That's what I'm looking for. I think.
One piece of wisdom I've heard is you should stir it until you think it's stirred enough, and then stir it that much more. It works well for epoxy and paint. Here I'm finally getting to the painting portion of the day, well into the day. Part of that may have been slow because of the flu. Part of that was just trying to do more than I should have.
Missed that one right there, but I got that above it. Got that. And all this. Well, that's the one that was really noticeable, but you can see a little bit of wood carving texture and all there, but yeah, ain't too bad. And this one's still a tiny bit wet, but yeah, they are looking good. Opening packages requires some coffee, doesn't it, Pupper?
So I finally get to do the actual pantry install. First got to clear it out, of course. Again, I need to space it out. As you can see, there's the space there to the left of the above fridge piece. I did build some bases. Because I custom built this to be all the way up to the ceiling, I had to put a base in, a removable base, because otherwise I couldn't bring it in and tip it into place. It would have been just impossible to get in there. So I tried out that E fitting in there, the spacer. Now I'm just using my stud finders, well, my other stud finder, looking for some other studs, using magnets to locate it, as well as that Franklin stud finder, which I love. But I always double and triple check with just some neodymium magnets. It's nice to have those around. And so I'll find the screw heads, because I've just gone too many times where I thought there was a stud for sure and ended up into the drywall. So double checking, triple checking, and then measuring them out on the inside here for both the ceiling studs, well, the joists, and the studs along the back, drilling and countersinking with a countersink bit. And here I'm assembling part of the base. This one I assembled in just the side and back, and I was going to use that to support it. Since I'm a one-man doing this install myself, I thought that might be easy, but then the base got stuck underneath there, and I had to end up cutting it out on this side. Now here I'm positioning it. I've got the spacer in place. It's held in with some short screws, and I could just tip it back, slide it into place using a rug to kind of help sliding it, and then I was able to lift it into place and stick it on that part of the base that I had in place. Clamps to hold it, and then once I got everything in position, I was able to I did some pounding just to get finally into position, and then I was able to screw the left side pantry to the above fridge piece, screw it into the studs in the back, screw it into the ceiling, and I even got one screwed on the left corner just to kind of pull it over and back a little bit on the very bottom. I was just along one stud there, as you can see, with that outlet right next to the light switch. So I was able to get into that as well. And now just trying it out, the cutting boards fit perfectly. I had to take a shot for prosperity, and super happy with how it's gone together so far. I have some sliding rails I'm putting in here. They're 35 bucks a piece, but they match the rest of the kitchen. They're the bloom ones, really nice. I'm just buying 5 and 6 at a time as I'm getting ready for my.
There is such a gap there, but it's not all the way along. I mean, I could, maybe shift the top out a little bit, but if I do that, we're not going to mate up right there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I'm going to put a side piece on, so that's going to be covered. I do need to get that piece out from under there, though. I don't know what we're going to do about that. But, yeah, I got mounted. Oh, I guess that's where, oh, I guess I have, okay. All right, well, that's what we've got. Woohoo!
Here is another weekend. I hope to finish more last weekend, but as I mentioned, they're calling it the Pooter Plague at the kids' school. The flu just took me down on that long weekend. But this is very similar to what I did last time, or just making the base fully this time rather than partially, and that worked out a lot better on this side. Just a note that these were boxes that I made using 3/4 inch plywood and pocket holes for most of the assembly. All the pocket holes really are hidden, so you can't see them here. But I'm just drilling in to that E from the outside because it's so thin. It allows me to set it up where I want it, drill in, and then have the hole exactly where I want rather than guessing, maybe missing, etc. So that's a trick that works really well, but I'm now looking for studs and using the stud finder, and again using the trick with magnets to locate the screw heads and just double check where those studs are. You know, that old adage, measure twice, cut once. I really believe in that. And here I would measure both from the inside of the cabinet and the outside of the spacer, measuring from the side of the above fridge component out to the studs, double checking what I had written down, just making sure that the marks I was making inside for the screw holes were right. And I would drill out from the inside using a countersink bit in the places where I wanted those to be once I was sure I knew where I wanted them to be, so that when I had them up in place, I could just sink a screw and kind of hold it where I wanted to, being one man, having the ability to not have to find my drill, bring it over, screw it, drill it in, and then screw it. That was a big benefit. So then I assembled the base and put the cabinet back in place, made sure the base would fit on top, just so that I knew what my tolerances were. And then I pulled it off, pulled the cabinet out of the way, put the base down where the cabinet was going to go, and then I was able to carefully tilt back and lift the cabinet onto the base and slide in. I just had to slide it super square because the tolerances were so tight on the right base that it couldn't shift up and down or top to bottom at all. It had to basically slide perfectly flat back. But I got up there and then was able to bring it over, clamp it down, and set it in place. Then I sunk a couple screws through to the base just to keep it from shifting. Now I really want these to be sturdy. They are stable, I guess, more than sturdy. They are holding a lot of canned goods. They are very big cabinets, so I made sure to get multiple points of anchoring. I've got the top, several in the top, And I did those first to kind of pull it up just in case it was down a little bit, and then used the Bosch laser square again just to figure out how square it was and how straight. I also pulled out a bullet level, but just wanted to make sure it was sitting as I want. And there was a little bit of curve at the bottom of both to the right, but in the end, there wasn't much I could do about it. So I secured it, this one, just like the other one, at multiple places along the top, sides, and the back. And when I was done, it was very sturdy, very well in there. And so now a final test. Does the cutting board fit? And it's a winner! Woohoo! There we go. Thanks for watching, everyone.